Today we're going to have a look at a feature I've been super excited for the Steam Deck, and that's local file transfer. We're going to talk about how it works, if it works, and where it needs work. So let's go ahead and check it out. Thank you for joining me in a network-themed adventure on my channel. I'm Mike, and we're going to have a look at local file transfers on the Steam Deck. So this feature allows you to transfer games locally across your network from another PC instead of having to basically download the game twice. Now this is great not only for saving data, but it could potentially be faster, especially if your network is hardwired. I'm definitely one of those people that install the same game on my Steam Deck and my desktop so I can switch between either one when I feel like it. Also, we have 3 other PCs in the house as well, and it allows you to transfer games between 2 PCs. So it's just a feature I've been really looking forward to. So let's have a look at how this works. But first, we gotta talk about my network setup just so we know what the max potential is for this transfer feature. So as far as my internet connection, I have a gigabit connection over cable. For my local network, all my PCs are hardwired, including the Steam Deck, and they're connected in our master bedroom to a 24-port gigabit switch. All the rooms upstairs are connected hardwired with Cat6, so basically both our local network and internet are limited to gigabit speeds at the moment. So to begin, I wanted to get a baseline of what the internet speeds were, so I did a speed test on both my desktop and the Steam Deck, hardwired. On my desktop, I got 947 megabits for download, and on the Steam Deck, I got 909 megabits. So there's a small difference between the two in megabytes. That'd be about 4.75 megabytes, so it was nothing major. Both the Steam Deck and my desktop are actually connected to a 5-port Ethernet switch that's under my desk that goes to the Ethernet port on the other side of the wall, which again connects to our big 24-port switch. So as far as the local transfer portion between these two, this should be the best case scenario since they're both connected to the same switch. Now first, let's see how long it takes for each of them to download a game over the internet. The game I decided to use was Dragon Ball Z Kakarot because it's around 40 gig, which I feel like is kind of the middle of the road for game sizes right now. And I knew I would end up having to download this multiple times, and I didn't want to run through my whole data cap for the whole month doing this video by downloading a 70 gig game. But anyway, on to the internet downloads. So on my desktop, the game downloaded in 6 minutes and 13 seconds, which is really fast. I can't complain when the 40 gig game downloads in about 6 minutes. The Steam Deck wasn't as fast, which has been the norm for me when it comes to the deck. It's by no means slow, it's just not as fast as my desktop at downloading files, most likely due to storage speed and the caching it does while it's downloading. I installed the game on the SSD instead of the micro SD card just to give it the best case scenario for the download speeds. On the deck, the internet download finished in about 13 minutes and 17 seconds, which is still really fast for a 40 gig game. In all the scenarios, I was just looking at how long it took the game to download, not download and finish installing. So once the game actually downloaded, that's when I stopped counting the time. So with that test out of the way, I tested the local download feature from my desktop to the Steam Deck, and it just worked automatically. Basically, as long as Steam is open and has the game installed and updated, it just works, especially if the deck and your PC are both signed to the same Steam account. What I was surprised about was the speed was actually slower than downloading the game from the internet. It finished in about 19 minutes and 1 second. It wasn't a huge difference overall, with the transfer only taking about 5.5 minutes longer, but in my opinion, it was worth it just not to waste internet bandwidth on downloading the same game twice. I'm glad the feature just automatically works. Valve really did a great job of making this work seamlessly on the Steam Deck. However, my desktop experience was not the same. So I was originally going to test transferring from the Steam Deck to my desktop. However, you can't do that. So I looked at Valve's requirements for the feature when I tried to download Kakarot on my PC, and it didn't do the local transfer, it just downloaded it from the internet. So only a PC running Steam in desktop mode can host a local file transfer. So that excludes the Steam Deck, a PC in big picture mode, and custom launchers. But I was curious if it would work on the Steam Deck if it was in desktop mode. So I attempted to download Uno on my PC since it was already installed on here and it's a small game, and it did not do the transfer. However, I was able to transfer Elden Ring from my desktop to the Steam Deck in desktop mode, so that confirms that the feature was working. It's just you still can't use this as a host even in desktop mode. So basically right now it's a one-way connection from your host PC or laptop or whatever to the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck can't send files to other computers. But you know what? I was like, that's fine. I can still transfer from desktop to desktop from my husband's PC, who already had the game installed, since he technically owns it and I'm just a no-good leecher that borrows stuff from his library. But anyway, to do this, you have to go into Steam and change a setting, because by default, Steam only looks at clients on your network with your account. You just have to go to Steam, Settings, Downloads, and change the option to allow transfers from friends or anyone on the network. So I set both of the PCs to allow transfers from anyone on the network, and for some reason the game kept downloading instead of transferring. My husband's PC would say that it was starting to transfer but was transferring 0 bytes of data, and then it would just stop. I initially thought it was maybe because the internet download was so much faster that Steam was just defaulting to it. I also read on the forum that both PCs have to be on the same subnet, which the whole network is, so that shouldn't be an issue. So the next day I decided to fire up the GPD Win 3, which is in the same room and connected to the main switch like my husband's PC, and it worked with no issues, but it still downloaded from my computer. So I'm not sure what's going on with my husband's PC other than the accounts being different, but I already changed that option on both accounts. Another thing to note is when I fired up the Steam client on my GPD Win 3, the setting was set to only allow downloads from the same account, so I did have to go in and change it on that instance of Steam. So it looks like if you have Steam on multiple computers in your house, you have to change it on each one. Now, as far as the transfer to the Win 3, the download was a lot faster, almost maxing out the full speed of the connection. It remained at 113 megabytes most of the time during the transfer, with it finishing in 6 minutes and 45 seconds, so only about 30 seconds slower than my desktop downloading directly from the internet. Again, I equate this to running the full desktop version of Steam, so there's not as much slowdown like there is with the Steam Deck to cache files. So it seems like when this feature is working PC to PC, it takes advantage of the full speed of the local network, which is awesome. I also tried downloading directly from the internet, and it was around half the speed of the local transfer. Of course, I ran the speed test beforehand and I got 885 megabits, which was the lowest out of all 3 of the systems. And the download from the internet averaged around 60 megabytes per second, or 480 megabits. Now, this computer is using a dock that's connected to the top port of the Win 3 via USB 3, so that could be somewhat responsible for the slower download speeds on this machine. In this case, the local transfer was definitely faster. The last thing I tested out of curiosity was the Steam Deck on Wi-Fi. I didn't do a full transfer like I did with the other tests because, let's be honest, I was tired of downloading this game so many times. So I did another speed test over Wi-Fi, and it made me really grateful that my friend ran Ethernet through my house for me. The speed test came out to 138 megabits download. I no longer have a wireless access point in my room like I did before, but my phone still gets around 450 megabits in here. But my phone does support Wi-Fi 6, so that may be why the Steam Deck's Wi-Fi speeds are worse. So I started the download on the Deck just to see what the average speed was, and it seemed to stay around 25 megabytes, which equates to around 200 megabits. So luckily a bit faster than what we got on our speed test results. Then I started my Steam client on my computer, and as soon as it came up, it switched to transferring, which is pretty awesome. It just kicks in automatically. The speed was pretty much the same for the transfer over Wi-Fi at around 200 megabits per second. So this is probably speed limited due to the distance from the upstairs access point, but at least in this case, the local transfer and the internet download speeds were the same. So with the Deck, depending on your internet speeds, it could be faster or at least the same speed to transfer over the network. On a faster connection, that doesn't seem to be the case, at least with the Deck from the testing that I did. However, it's not slow enough where it's a problem, especially because it can save you from wasting bandwidth by re-downloading terabytes of data if you have more than one PC in the house. And I know I spent a lot of time in this video talking about speed because yes, it is important, but it's not really the main point of the feature. It's really to make it more convenient for Steam Deck owners and multi-household PCs running Steam to not have to download games multiple times or set up a server to host files. It'll also benefit other handhelds like the Win 3, which we tested earlier, and even like the Aya Neo and basically anything that runs Steam. It does seem like the feature right now works best with the same account being logged in on the host PC and the client PC from my experience so far. There may be some kind of network condition or PC setting that's causing the issue with the PC to PC transfer with my husband's PC, but it could also just be the jankiness of a new Steam feature, so hopefully it gets figured out either way. So for now, I'd say it's a great feature and probably a relief for Steam Deck users that also have a desktop PC, and I hope Valve continues to improve this feature. But let me know what you think in the comments. Have you tried the local file transfer with Steam with either the Deck or PC to PC, and how did that experience go for you? I'm going to get out of here, but if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell a friend, tell a coworker, like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification to get notified when I drop a video or a live stream. And I always do at least 2 things at the same time. Peace.